Update. Am I the a-hole for kicking out my mom's boyfriend? Original post. When I was 17, my mom came into money. She tried to keep it quiet, but she paid off my dad's debts, bought him a small house, paid off her debts, paid for my sister's college, and set up funds for mine. She had a boyfriend at the time, and shortly after, he and his son, who was 7, moved into our new house. Over the next few years, my mom bought my sister a house after she graduated college. Her boyfriend lived with us and didn't pay anything, but he did work. When I was 21, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. It wasn't good. She sat me and my sister down and went over exactly how much money there was. She intended to give her current house to me, and both my sister and I were left with a large sum at the end of it. She asked if I would allow her boyfriend to stay in the house with his son until he got his own place. I agreed. Before she died, she told her boyfriend he would need to look for his own place, but had time to save more for that journey. For the last 4 years, he has continued to reside in the house with his son. I haven't minded because we get along okay. I pay all the bills, but he does buy food for himself and his kid. He has dated off and on, and mostly kept the women out of this house, which I respected him for, until his current partner. She's been in my house 3 times, and at first, besides feeling a little uncomfortable, I was okay with her. The last time, this past weekend, was the point where I lost my cool. I was making myself some lunch when she came walking downstairs. She grabbed a plate and went to grab food out of my pan. I asked her what she thought she was doing. She started telling me how I should look for somewhere else to live, and that leeching off my dead mom's past relationship as an adult was pathetic. I hollered for my mom's old boyfriend. He came down and I told him I didn't know what his current thing thought, but I wasn't going to be disrespected in my house. He wouldn't even look me in the eyes as he mumbled something about my mom promising him the house, and that he was just being kind by letting me stay. First, that isn't remotely true. Mom pulled him and me together after she asked if he could stay to set expectations. My mom met him shortly before she won the money and told him and us girls that she had no intention of leaving him money. She did set aside a fund for his son for college when he gets there, but he cannot touch it. Only his son can. He has lived in this house for almost 8 years without paying a dime. He should have plenty of money, and if he doesn't, that's on him. I told him he had 30 days to leave. I wasn't going to house someone who would lie and disrespect me in my house. He left that night with his son, but his ex-wife called to tell me I am cruel and an a-hole for her son losing his house. He is here every other week. I really feel like my mom didn't expect him to still be here, but my sister said she feels like I am breaking my promise to my mom, and that made me feel like maybe I am the a-hole. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. The critical part here is that your mom asked you to let him stay until he got his own place and to give him time to find one. In that time, instead of looking to move somewhere else, he continued to settle into life in the house, to the point where he even started bringing a new girlfriend along. He moved on, but didn't move out. Him lying to her and telling her this was his house tells you everything you need to know about his actual intentions to leave. You kicking him out wasn't abrupt. The clock had run out on your mother's kindness, and your obligation to her ended a long time ago. He was living there on generously borrowed time. OP's mom probably expected it to be a month or 2, since he's working but has no living expenses, and didn't during their relationship. Not 4 years. Where the heck is his money going if he can't get his own place? He had at least 4 years to save before OP's mother passed away, plus the 4 years since then. He has only been paying for food and presumably his phone, car insurance, fuel, etc. in that time. He should have incredibly healthy savings, especially since he was living with his sister to save up before that. The mother probably thought that he'd take a month or 2 to grieve, spend a month or 4 looking in earnest, and be out of OP's hair within the year. If he was saving, say, $1,500 a month while the mother was alive, rent plus utilities and council tax/local equivalent on a 2-bedroom house/flat has to be at least that pretty much everywhere in what sounds like the US. That would be 1,500 times 12 times 4 equals $72,000 before she passed. The same again since then, and whatever he had beforehand. Of course, he could afford to move out straight away. Dude should have a good $150,000 minimum sitting in his bank account. That's most definitely, screw this. I'm off to a hotel to complain to people who I can tell a very slanted version of the story to. Money. If it happened exactly how you said, you're not the a-hole. If she did say he had time to save but would need to look for his own place, that means she never imagined or wanted him staying for long. So you're breaking no promises. Did she leave him any money or assets? It's totally possible that your mother would be livid if she knew her boyfriend was still living with her son after 4 years. No, she created a fund for his son for his college, but that was the only money set aside for him or his son. It's a generous amount, enough for 4 years at a high-dollar school. Anything not used for school will be given to him on his 25th birthday, from what I believe she told me. A lawyer and accountant are in charge of those funds, not me or my sister, so I only know what she told us before she died. She was never married to or even engaged to her boyfriend. He lived with his sister and was saving for his own house when Mom met him. Him moving in with us was supposed to be temporary and allow him to save to buy his dream home. But he never left. My mom was like that though. She had a big heart, and sometimes people took advantage of that, especially after the money. She bought him a brand new truck when his car broke down, but beyond that and smaller gifts, like a TV, computer, etc., for birthdays and holiday gifts, she did not leave him money. They had no joint accounts. My mom paid for everything, and he was supposed to be saving for a house the whole time they were together. Sweetheart, you are not the a-hole. First, I am so sorry. You are the only one who knows if you're telling the truth. It seems very plausible to me, but if he was already saving money for a house when he met your mom, then lived 4 years with her and another 4 years with you, that man is just a loser. Is there any way your dad could come stay with you the week he moves out? The first thing you need to do is change all of the locks and get yourself some sort of security system. Please don't feel bad for making him leave. It seems to me that your mom was really smart and planned things out very carefully. Being that he had already lived with her for 4 years, I agree with the commenters who said she was probably thinking a month or two, not years. If your sister makes any more comments, then you can tell her she's welcome to let him live with her. Again, so sorry for your loss. Please make sure you're safe and take care of yourself. Thank you so much. My mom was the sweetest person, and when I was a teenager, I feel like I was a nightmare to her. I'm thankful I was much better in my late teens and 20 to 21, so she got to see me mature a little before she passed. I wasn't always the best daughter, but she was always the best mom. I think part of letting him stay so long was having bonded with his son, but also, I liked having someone else around who loved my mom too. There were nights I would wake up from a nightmare and end up in the kitchen, and he would hear me and just come make a cup of coffee and sit and share a story about her. His son loved Mom too, and some evenings we would get takeout and watch movies, and joke about what commentary my mom would have had if she had seen the movie with us. My sister lives a state away, so we only really see each other once a month or so. I liked not being alone in this big house. I do have a security system, and the locks have been changed. He is coming over tomorrow to get his stuff. Now for the first update, I do want to take a moment to address some things I saw in the comments. 1. There are trusts set up, and neither my sister nor I have full access to the money left to us. This was done both because my sister and I were in our early 20s when my mom died, and she wanted to make sure we had some stability before we had access, and to protect us from people who may try to take advantage, especially while we were grieving. 2. I have a lawyer. He has already informed me legally about what eviction laws apply in my area, and my mom's former boyfriend will be served with formal eviction papers just to cover myself even after today. So, to the update, my dad came over this morning and brought along my cousin. I decided not to have my boyfriend over, since he doesn't know about the money side, and I wasn't trying to have the boyfriend out the situation. For easier telling, I'm going to call my mom's former boyfriend Chuck. Chuck showed up about 10 a.m. my time and talked to my dad, then asked if he could have a couple of minutes alone with me. Dad nodded, so my cousin and him went into the kitchen, and Chuck and I sat in the living room. I'll be honest, I didn't expect it to go as it did, but I am glad it did. Chuck started with an apology. I don't remember all of the words said, but the basics were, he missed my mom. He had been lonely, but not alone thanks to me and his son. He was sorry for what had happened, that he got caught up in lust and let someone else fill his head with ideas, and that he owned up to his mistakes and should have never put up with someone who would disrespect me or my mom's memory. He tried to hand me a cashier's check for $15,000. He said it wasn't much, but he wanted me to know he appreciated me and living with me, and that he wanted to pay back some of what he owed. I refused the check, both in part because I never wanted his money, but also because I didn't want to give any possible legal leg for him to stand on if this was somehow him trying to stay. I told him the first part and told him to put it toward a house. He told me he is living with his sister, but is going to look at houses with a realtor next week. He did say his son is asking about our next hangout date and said both my sister and I are welcome to arrange time with him. After all of that, my dad and cousin helped him get all the stuff out of the house that he owned. He had brought a U-Haul, and he gave me back my house keys. He apologized again and left. Not what I expected, but it went really well, and I feel a lot less like I let my mom down. I'm just being nosy, sure, but how did the woman who thought she's getting you kicked out of your house respond to it all? No clue. At my house, she just seemed smug and bitchy. I didn't ask Chuck about her and honestly don't care. My house is nice, but it's not like it's multi-million dollars or anything. Had you said all that stuff in the previous post to him away from his girlfriend? Were you not there when he grabbed her to leave? Just wondering, because I assumed it was said in front of her, and that's why she left so easily instead of trying to fight to make you leave. All that got said in front of her was that I wasn't going to be disrespected in my house, and he could have 30 days to find new housing and she was not welcome back. That was all I said in front of her, and she kept a pissy face on, but didn't say anything to me and walked out with him. Change all the locks regardless and get cameras. Better safe than sorry. Honestly, I worry about retaliation from the girlfriend more than Chuck, but still a reason to change the locks. With some home warranties, changing the locks is included. Second and last update. This is probably going to be my last update unless something unexpected happens, but I thought I would just give a quick update on Chuck. So, Chuck called me last week and again yesterday. He put an offer on a house, and yesterday it got accepted. The expected close date is early next month, but I am very proud of him. I know everyone expected more drama, and honestly, some of the comments had me worried, but it's been really good. He thanked me a lot for letting him have so much time here, offered me some money one more time for his time here, which I again declined, but I did offer to help him move in when the time comes. Moving sucks. He put down almost half for a down payment, so he definitely was saving money during his time here, and I'm glad everything that happened was an encouragement for him to get into a home of his own. I talked to his son yesterday after he got out of school. We are going to play laser tag this weekend with my sister, and he is excited for the new house too. If Chuck has $15,000 to hand out, I'm guessing he's not exactly skint. Looks like he's landing on his feet, and kiddo should be mostly okay until he's ready to go to college. Chuck's an ass, but he's out of OP's life. She can move on from it. Probably the only real loser in all of this will be the daft girlfriend/ex who forced the confrontation. That's because Chuck and his ex-wife don't have to foot a massive college bill, so both can save a bundle. Now that Chuck has to buy his own place, I bet there are going to be changes to the ex-wife's situation too. Sometimes, offering to fund a child's college education may seem great, but with a dad like Chuck? I was smart in setting up my nibblings' further education funds. They were to either get a decent university course, and anything left over is given to help start up after graduation. If they don't do further education, the amount is given in sections, enough to help out if they need some extra cash, but nothing to subsidize an income. Honestly, I'm glad that this post didn't go the way it usually does with stuff like this. Estrangements, cutting off people, etc. I'm happy for OP and his sister, that Chuck was stupid but not bad, and that their relationship with Chuck's son can continue. Last story. Am I the a-hole for finally telling my brother-in-law to leave after he's been mooching off us for a year? He moved in saying he just needed a few months until he was able to save enough money to rent his own place. It's been a year, but he's never once paid for bills, groceries, nothing. He doesn't even do basic chores, but my wife, she's his brother, always tries to cover for him and does his chores for him instead. He leaves dishes in the sink, doesn't take out the trash, just sits around on his phone when he's at home playing mobile games, or goes out on his motorcycle for long rides with his buddies. We've been biting our tongues because he's family, but last week was the last straw. He came home late, parked his bike, and didn't lock the gate. As a result of his neglect, our dog of 12 years got out. We searched everywhere and even made Facebook posts, only to find out a few hours later that he got hit by a car just outside our subdivision. We were devastated, and I was furious. But guess who was the one acting pissed off? My brother-in-law, saying it wasn't his fault, and that happens, and that he'd just buy us a new dog. What? He hasn't even contributed a single cent to our monthly electric or internet bills. I lost it, told him to pack his stuff and get out. My wife thinks I was too harsh, but I honestly don't care anymore. He doesn't respect our home, our rules, or our damn dog. Am I the a-hole for not considering my wife's feelings first? A part of me feels that we should have talked about it first, but then I acted on my own out of anger. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for not considering my wife's feelings first? Why isn't she considering your feelings? Why does her brother seem to have priority in your home? That's not okay. Not the a-hole. He didn't get his act together within 3 months. It's my guess he never planned to until he was forced to. The whole not contributing anything to your household is just such gross, entitled behavior. Good on you for finally taking care of business. I'm so sorry about your dog. Agreed. OP has been considerate towards his wife's feelings for at least a year, hence letting the brother-in-law live rent-free. Honestly, she doesn't have any grounds to be hurt or say anything to OP as her brother overstayed his welcome in the first place. All of it right here. A few months usually winds up being a few years. A few years of doing absolutely nothing, wasting money on drugs, alcohol, or junk they don't need from Walmart. She will likely, unfortunately, resent you. So offer to go to couples therapy to do some damage control, even though she clearly didn't care about your or the dog's wants and needs, which includes physical safety for the dog and psychological safety for you. Yes, husbands need psychological safety too. Not the a-hole. Why is your wife not more upset about the dog? Or his attitude about letting the dog out? You can't just replace a family member like it was nothing. He needed to go before, but there's no coming back from the dog thing now. He could have been contrite and apologetic, but he couldn't even do that. On top of not paying any bills or doing any chores, he can't apologize for inadvertently hurting your dog? Dude has to go. Seriously, a family member that caused a situation like this would be dead to me.